Pecha Kucha 297, looking at Spawn Volume 3 again. I'm not sure if I've read this and spoken about it. I mean, I own the comics. I definitely read it before. It should be a video Pecha Kucha this week, but I'm not sure I want to keep doing them. It's enough work that it feels like it's actual work. It was kind of stressing me out, so I kind of just dropped it. So this is... I've got a couple of Spawn comics, and I've read more Spawn than I know where I read it from. This is so old. It's actually from the early 90s. Todd McFarlane's one of those guys who blew up big in the 90s. The industry blew up with him. Same as Jim Lee. And I bought these books out of the comic book store like I bought all my books as a kid. I just picked up the stuff they had on display. It's only on the back of the book, that hidden in the body copy, that I realize it's the third collection of Spawn comics, which is why I'm not starting with Volume 1. The book does an excellent job of keeping you up to date, both at the start of the graphic novel and because Todd McFarlane's written this as a continuous series where he's expecting new readers constantly. That's greatly appreciated because I remember none of this. You'll also notice the spine of the book is wearing. A lot of the scans later on, I've tried to go easy on the book, so they're kind of blurry in the middle as I'm trying to not destroy this thing I own, just to show it to you. But this first panel pretty much explains Spawn visually with the cape and the early Photoshop colouring and a strong composition and a ton of fucking words. Spawn is a soldier who's died and come back from the dead as a hellspawn in the Devil's Army. This entire book has tons of obvious religious overtones. He's black, but he has magic powers, but he can't make himself look black. He looks like a zombie dude, kind of like Deadpool. The book does a very good job of kind of getting you in his head. Spawn's talking about his marriage. He sold his soul to the devil for the love of a woman who remarried. And his best friend is now taking care of his family, which pisses him off, but it's perfectly justifiable. And even though the devil is an obvious enemy in this book, there are tons of evil men, like the men who ordered the assassination of Spawn, Al Simmons. So there's quite an interesting cast being developed and shown to the reader. I don't know if Frank Miller started the talking head media people, but Todd McFarlane is clearly aware he has too much exposition and not enough pages to get all the ideas he wants across, so he frequently uses these kind of space-saving things. I'm finding I'm getting stuck in that kind of situation myself as I'm trying to make my book and running out of space. Even though Spawn hates the man who's replaced him in his own family, I do like the way that the book shows that he's not a bad guy, even though he's very easy to hate if you sympathize with the main character of the book. Spawn's costume is alive and tries to kill one of his New York homeless bum friends because, did I mention Spawn is homeless and he hangs out with the homeless in New York? It's a very fresh, strange book where the main character dresses like Batman but has the heart of Spider-Man. Also, as an Image Comics intellectual property, there's a point where a bunch of other superheroes who are like a bootleg Avengers are brought up, and they're so bootleg. The thing with the 90s is it's cringe. Shit was super over, and because it was so popular, nobody could see how bad it was. And that's an unfair thing to say. But also in this book, Spawn finds actually who the person is who killed him, has a confrontation with him. There's a lot of character development in the space of these 3 or 4 issues collected in this one volume. It's reminded me I really need to get my hands on a Spawn omnibus. What's interesting is that Todd McFarlane takes a break from explaining this epic work thing he's got going on to do a flashback of a different Spawn facing one of the main long-standing villains, the Violator. And I can't help but question if he's doing this so Todd McFarlane can literally sell the toy of the medieval knight Spawn. I'm pretty sure McFarlane's a multi-millionaire as a result of the way he's used his intellectual property since then. the early 90s. I think Spawn is still going strong, and it's been actually 30 fucking years. In the story told of the medieval Spawn, the guy basically fights the bad guy to save his damsel in distress, but seeing him outside of the army, because his armor, seeing his zombie ass, she runs away in fear. So even though the entire story is kind of portrayed as comic relief, it has a tragic ending. There's a level of depth to what Todd McFarlane's doing. It's quite surprising for a guy who sometimes forgets the continuity of the clothes that people are supposed to be wearing, as he does in this. Spawn's wearing a shirt until he isn't, and suddenly he's in an alleyway naked, saying, "Get out of my fucking territory." Like I said, he's literally homeless. Yeah, I'm leaning hard on the comics because I'm still drawing my random scribbles as I try to get through my thumbnail storyboard of my the book I'm going to make, which is going to be about 200 pages. There's a lot of figuring out and a lot of just having to settle for what I can get done, because if I keep trying to do too much, I'll end up not doing anything. Pardon me. I spent so much time playing Final Fantasy X this week. I decided my Bison's going to be in black and white this week. I was going to try doing it solidly in black, but it just felt appropriate to add to grayscale. I don't know. It's the kind of thing that makes me encouraged about how my book's going to end up. And now with the Smiley Show, I've kind of done most of the legwork on every page. I'm just bouncing between pages, adding shadows, editing some of the more complicated speech bubbles and doing bits and pieces. I'm not quite sure how far away I am from it being in a publishable state, since some of the jokes might need rewriting. But I'll keep dipping in and tightening something up every Saturday. So even though my major focus is on this 200-page plus book, I'll be working on Smiley Shows in the background, however long it may take, just so long as I can trick myself into thinking it's not work. And yeah, this is a perfect example of one of those weeks where I would have done absolutely nothing if I didn't have to at least say or claim or show that I did something. So this is why I do these 20 slideshows right here. And that's the end of the 297th one I've done consecutively, and I will see you next time.